Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Own YouTube channel. You cannot take the smile off my face because Premier League football is back. We're back with league football after a week. It almost feels like 2 weeks now away from Premier League action with the FA Cup. Only 4 games last time out in the Premier League match week. We're back here. Match week 30 predictions are here. Big games, both ends of the table. What's new? It feels like each week there's games to be excited about, especially this week as we come towards the run-in towards the back end of the season. Absolutely cannot wait for this one here. Before we get into it, guys, if you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, subscribing, all those good things, and supporting the channel, that would be much appreciated. We're back with a channel classic here, the Premier League predictions. Looking back to that last game, we only the 4 games, and unfortunately I got no predictions right at all. So I ended up with 0 points from last week. So stay on 178 of our prediction points. If you're still wondering how those points work, it is 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result, and obviously 0 for neither. I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get straight now into the predictions. All right, our first game from the weekend is up north. Is Newcastle hosting West Ham. And a very interesting game to see who will end up in these sort of European positions. Obviously, Newcastle are battling from way down in 10th to try and get up into that debate. West Ham in and around that place. They could go as high as 6th. They could drop back into the 8th or 9th positions there. So a lot to be excited about this game here. 2 teams that haven't been in great form, but 2 teams that can definitely turn things around. Starting off with Newcastle, bit of problem at the moment because Sven Botman's gone down and will be out for the rest of the season. We obviously know how much they missed him early in the season, and it's going to be a big loss for them in this, run in towards the back end of the season. I need better performances and better form. Only won 2 of their last 5 games. Inconsistent. Not enough creativity and not enough clinical edge in the final third. Outside of Alexander Isak, it feels like they really lacked that cutting edge to put teams away in the final third. And that really showed last time out versus Chelsea. Had more of the ball, more of the chances at key points in time, but just didn't make enough of that. Really couldn't break Chelsea apart and carve Chelsea open for clear-cut opportunities. And Chelsea obviously got that 3-2 win. In this game, you've been back at home. They'll look to sort of refine some of that form and refine that home form, especially because a couple of tough draws and points dropped at home. They want to refine that fortress back up there at St James's Park. When you look at West Ham, struggling in their own mind, but have balancing Europa League and Premier League football, which we can understand. But now with Paqueta, Bowen, Kudus all there, with that midfield solidity, hopefully without Mavropanos at the back, he's been the mistake-prone defender. Areola in goal has been very, very impressive. You've got a unit here that is kicked in, ready to go. A timely international break to recharge the batteries and push on to the end of the season here. Obviously, last time a strong performance at home versus Aston Villa to get that point. Hoping to kick on now and really put pressure on Man United and put pressure on the teams above them to try, keep fighting for that sort of top 6 and maybe even stay in 7th spot there. So, as such, I think with the form of West Ham, with the players they've got, especially they'll play on the counter-attack here. Newcastle at home will have the possession. I'm looking for West Ham like Kudus, Bowen, Paqueta to utilise a counter-attack where West Ham play their best football and really exploit Newcastle's lack of defensive identity with Botman not being there. As such, I'm going for a 2-1 West Ham win and then to keep the good vibes rolling towards the back end of the season here. The next game is in London. It's Chelsea hosting Burnley. And Chelsea, obviously, a little bit of upturn form. It feels like they have these peaks and troughs often, but it feels like we're in one of those peak moments. They beat Newcastle last time in the Premier League. They're through to Wembley in the FA Cup as well. And it all seems to be going quite well for them at the moment. And Pochettino, obviously, in a Carabao Cup final not too long ago as well. So if they can find this allow this form to continue on and be more of a constant, it'll be good signs here for Chelsea towards the back end of the season. Push up into the top half. Maybe knock Newcastle into the bottom half here and really make a real fist out of the back end of the season. Again, it's going to ride in these midfielders, Gallagher, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. Can they put together a stronger performance for all 90 minutes? Can all 3 of them lift to the levels required? Or will they rely on Cole Palmer's individual brilliance? Raheem Sterling will pop up with moments as well. But a big shout out to Mikhailo Mudryk because performing at a really great level recently for his country, for his club, with important goals. Obviously, that goal last time out versus Newcastle in the Premier League, sat the defender down, sat the goalkeeper down and put it in the back of the net. That's what we want to see from Mikhailo Mudryk. And if he's at that level, Chelsea will absolutely be fine in this game here. Obviously, Burnley last time out got a massive win versus Brentford, obviously down to 10 men with Sergio Reguilon getting sent off. And it was promising sides. Obviously, David Fofana's, everything's going to be behind him at the moment. He seems to be the guy up top. and then more of a stability, sitting, absorbent type of defensive structure that can cause some teams problems. They can score first this game here. We could be seeing a really tight, tough game, but Chelsea at home, the current form, with the form of the players, I think they'll get the better of this Burnley side, who still have an opportunity to get out of the drop zone with how Nottingham Forest have got that points deduction. So with all that being said, I'm going with a Chelsea 3-1 win. Too much quality, too much talent, and they'll keep that little bit of a good form here extending on to another week. Our next game sees Sheffield United hosting Fulham. Once again, Sheffield United, a disappointing side. They get a result versus Bournemouth not too long ago, but outside of that, it's been really, really poor from this side here. They have moments in games, they have stages where they're in games, but they're just not consistent enough and just not good enough recently. You look at the last 5-7 games, just not good enough. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, their last time out versus Bournemouth, they put together a good performance and get a 2-2 result. But even in that game there, the first half was all Sheffield United, but then Bournemouth come back into it and get a result from it. So this inconsistency, the lack of home form, I have no faith in Sheffield United all season, and will continue not to, because they're going up against probably the most informed team over the last month in Fulham. They've got results at Old Trafford, a win at Old Trafford, a 3-0 win over Brighton, undeserved 2-1 loss to Wolves away, and obviously winning last time out 3-0 over Tottenham. This is a very informed team behind Muniz up top, Andres Pereira, who's just been great recently, especially for his country as well in the international break. Harry Wilson creating, Alex Iwobi's been very good as well. And then the backline, Tim Ream, Anthony Robinson, in their form of their lives, Bernd Leno in goal. There's just so many informed players currently at Fulham. They've turned the season around. They're really making a fist of it come the back end of the season here, and will look to once again rise up the table here. I think they'll get this job done quite easily, just to managing how many goals can they score and how early do they score. If they score early, we could be seeing 5 or 6, but I'm going with a 4-0 win for Fulham versus Sheffield United in this one here. Our next game's at the City Ground. It's Nottingham Forest hosting Crystal Palace. With two teams towards the bottom end of the table. Forest obviously getting that points deduction, which now puts them into the drop zone. And despite there being solid performances or decent signs under Nuno, they still haven't been good enough in my eyes. There's some nice performances, but haven't got enough wins or big results for my liking. I'm putting the blame once again on Morgan Gibbs-White. I'm putting on Antti Elanga to increase his production in the final third. I'm putting on that back line to be more consistent and more solid. I'm putting on Hudson-Odoi, Divock Origi, make big chances and score big chances. At the moment, Chris Wood's carrying the goal scoring from that front line there, but we need more contributors, especially creating from midfield areas. It seems to be a lack of that for Nottingham Forest. A team that loves a bit of a back and forth ping pong type affair when the game starts to get spread. But when it's low block to low block and when transitional play happens, how do they break down a back four with 2 in front of them? How do they break down a team where they want to sit in and allow Nottingham Forest to have the ball? Because right now I don't see how that works. In the final third, too many mistakes, too many misses, too many inability to create big chances hurts them. I like that midfield with Yates in there. I feel like he adds a bit of character to the midfield, but he's not the biggest creator. So as such, you're sort of lacking that area there. You need to find someone, whether it be the fullbacks and Nico Williams, to try and link the defence to the midfield, because at the moment there seems to be a real lack of identity in that region of the park there. And when you come up against a Crystal Palace side with a new manager, Oliver Glasner, who, with Eze there, obviously without Lise, which is going to hurt them, but they've got these players like Mateta in the final third, Andre Ayew, who can create things out of nothing. You're going to be worried if you're Nottingham Forest. Despite being at home, we know what Palace can do. They've put together some solid performances as of recently. We're in the game for sort of 60 minutes versus Tottenham. We're really good last time out for 99% of the game versus Luton, but ended up only getting a point from it. But we've seen better performances. I've obviously not been totally impressed with Glasner's style of football. I know he's a more sit in and trying to absorb pressure, and he's a points-based manager. He'll get you points. It might not be the best style of football, but it'll work, and you can turn teams over, you can go on the counter-attack, you can beat teams by being efficient. And so far, they haven't quite been efficient enough to see his plan be implemented perfectly. But coming to the City Ground here, if you get a big 3 points, you can almost get yourself out of this relegation scrap. I don't think Palace are in it, but a big 3 points here will make sure they don't have to worry about that and look over their shoulder towards the back end of the season. With it all being said, with Nottingham Forest needing a result, with Palace wanting a result, two teams on similar levels, I can see it being a score draw. I'm going with a 2-2 excitement fest, but a draw for both these teams here. Our next game takes us back down south. It is Bournemouth hosting Everton. It might be another very interesting affair. We've obviously seen Bournemouth go back to that identity that I was so happy with towards the first third of the season. Coming back from 3 goals down to beat Luton, taking it to Man City not too long ago as well at home. They're a very solid home side, and looks like Antoine Semenyo's back in that groove again. You know, Dominic Solanke's going to give you goals. And in this game, it's important they don't get counter-attack. That's where Everton are at their best from set pieces and in transitional play. You saw they threatened Man United with it. You saw they threatened Tottenham from set pieces as well. You've got to be able to transition well, and with the likes of Zarbani in there, whether Aaron's plays, Milos Kerkez at the back, Adam Smith, I trust these guys in the form they've been in this season to hold up defensively, to allow Bournemouth to be more comfortable possession and be expressive, which we've seen in the last few weeks. It's been very good second half versus Sheffield United, great second half versus Luton. Can we see a full 90-minute performance? Can we see Bournemouth at their best? Iriola's side has shown signs so many times throughout the season. We haven't seen a full 90-minute performance in a while. But I think early on, we like to see what Bournemouth can do on the front foot, get out Everton, try and get this game killed off in the first half rather than playing from behind. And if you're Everton, like I said, threaten from set pieces, be compact to the back. Don't, give any mistakes. Last time out, concede 2 penalties at Man United and lose that game where they could have easily nicked it 1-0 or won even 2-0 themselves, but missing key chances and making mistakes at the back cost them. In this game here, same thing against Bournemouth. You cannot make mistakes against this side. They're so clinical in the final third. And, get at them on the counter-attack, transitional play, because Bournemouth will throw numbers forward. They're a possession-based team. If you can try and exploit them on a counter-attack, that's how Everton can get in this game and get a big 3 points. They're also another team in that sort of relegation battle. And if you lose again here, with maybe Forest getting some points or Luton getting some points, you go back in the drop zone once again. So it's another massive week for them. You need to try and get a point or 3 points this one here. With it all being said, though, I think Bournemouth will be too good for them this game at home as well. I'm backing them in. I've got Bournemouth winning this game 2-1 in a really tight and scrappy affair. The next game, it takes us back towards London. It's Tottenham hosting Luton in a game that I can see really going one way, unfortunately. Tottenham obviously very, very poor last time out, a 3-0 loss to Fulham. But a good time to just rejuvenate. They're obviously in this run in here going for that top 4 spot or secure Champions League football, and they probably deserve it on the season as a whole. But a few hiccups in recent weeks and not being consistent enough is worrying. The first game, they haven't scored a goal this season, that 3-0 loss to Fulham, and it felt like they just didn't have that swagger in the final third. Whether it be Richarlison, Son, Werner, missing some chances, not being clinical in front of goal, not really having that creative spark in the final third. I think against this Luton side that can sit in quite well and be very solid against the big teams, you're going to need the likes of Pap Sarr to break through the lines with his dribbling and passing and his goal-scoring ability. Looking for Maddison to try and find the perfect pass to get the likes of Werner, Son, Richarlison, Kulusevski in behind the back line. Because these 4 guys I've mentioned there are electric at the best of times. But the last game, they look a shadow of themselves. But you're going to need people to create for them because Luton will sit in, they'll be nice and tight and compact. We know what they can do in terms of defending against the big boys. They've caused a lot of problems this season versus the top 6. Obviously, you've got that superstar off the bench, Brennan Johnson, who's been a saviour at times for Tottenham. So there's obviously talent there and ability there. It's if they can make that count. Back at home, as I said, Luton love to play the big teams. They've caused problems against all the big guys. They haven't quite taken a big win or a big draw away for any of these teams. They haven't really gotten what they deserve versus the big boys. Can they do it here? It's a very important game for them. If you win this game and Nottingham Forest don't take all the 3 points, you go like 3 or 4 points clear of the drop zone. It's massive for the mentality boost. You also get the mentality boost in itself by seeing yourself not in the bottom 3. The fact that Forest have got the points deduction. So that's the first start. Get a big 3 points here away from home at Tottenham. That is massive for your chance of survival and staying in the Premier League come next season. It's going to be an uphill battle for them though. We know how much Spurs like to bounce back under Ange and their attacking style of football. It's going to be overwhelming. We saw the reverse fixture last time. Tottenham are just too good in key moments for Luton. And as such, I see the game going a very similar way. I think Luton will stay in it, keep it entertaining, but Tottenham's attacking will, throwing numbers forward and quality will get the win for them. I've got them winning this game 3-1. But don't get me wrong, it's going to be a tight affair from minute 0 to minute 90. Our next game sees Aston Villa host Wolves in, once again, a game I can only see going one way. Despite Aston Villa's poor form recently, obviously, the last 3 results have been quite disappointing. A late win versus Luton, 4-0 battering by Tottenham, and then a draw A difficult draw to West Ham away from home sees them just sort of struggling. Obviously, they are also battling European football on a Thursday night and then backing up on the weekend for the Premier League. So the international break's coming at a good time for them. But once again, I'm worried about that midfield. I know there's still great players like Tillemans in there, Douglas Luiz, Chuck Ramsey in there as well as Zaniolo. But without McGinn or Kamara, Kamara obviously out for the season, McGinn for one more game with suspension, I'm just worried how it's going to hold up against a Wolves side that can really turn it on in midfield areas. Obviously, being at home helps them off the international break, gives them some energy, gives them some real spark in the legs. But they need to get off to the right track here, scoring early, getting the fans on side, because in recent weeks it has been less than exciting from this Aston Villa side. They've been exposed, they've looked slow, sluggish, and an inability to get the ball into the final third. A lack of real creativity from wide and central areas has meant there's been a lack of chances for Watkins and Leon Bailey, who have both looked quite tired in their own rights there. So important they get off to the right foot here. I look at likes of Douglas Luiz, I look at like a Matty Cash, look at Digne from fullback. Let's see what we saw from the middle to start of the season, overlapping, getting in high areas, creating chances. I'm looking, can the likes of Tillemans coming in produce what he did for Belgium in terms of creating from a midfield area, pushing on, overloading wide areas, creating chance from the edge of the area, nice long shots. These are sort of things. And obviously feed the two guys that have been in form. Leon Bailey and Watkins will take the chances if you give them the chances. I feel like they're being starved of chances the last few games. We need to find the ball at their feet if we want to be successful, if we want to be Aston Villa. That's the key for them. Defensively, they look quite solid at times. I had to have that Tottenham game that looked very solid throughout this season, but in recent weeks going forward, it's lacked that real creativity and that real spark we've been used to seeing them this season. Obviously, it's an unknown. We haven't seen them in this sort of top 4, top 5 race in recent years, but obviously Man United are coming, Tottenham are around the place, and with the battling Thursday football alongside the weekend, do we see them drop out? Do we see they have the mental capacity to take it in both comps? That's what we're going to wait and see. For Wolves, obviously, they have an injury crisis of their own. Neto's out. Dawson and Bellegarde are questionable. Huang's out. It's going to rely on Pablo Sarabia up front to be the creative spark. And I'm looking for guys like João Gomez in midfield areas there to try and create things. Aït-Nouri's been massive for them. Does Lamina create for midfield or score goals for midfield? These are sort of guys I want to stand up and score goals this Wolves side. Obviously, they've been a really great home team. All right, on the road. We know how good they can transition from defence to attack, but without a real focal figure up top or a real clinical finisher up top, I just don't see them getting anything out of this game. Villa at home, Villa looking to bounce back. I've got them winning this game 3-1 versus Wolves. That brings us back into London. It's Brentford hosting Manchester United for our third to last game here. Brentford, obviously, a summary of their season, their last result. That 2-1 loss to Burnley. Sergio Reguilon getting the early red card. He'll miss this game against his former loaned club. But Brentford just being inconsistent, not good enough this season. When Tony came back, there's a little bit of a good vibe, good spark there. Morpay was in form, but that seems to have disappeared as well. And it seems to they're just being to be stuck at the moment. Their midfield, obviously underspoken about, underappreciated, but no real X factor in there. And I think coming against an informed Man United team that are on the back of a classic FA Cup victory, a more than comfortable 2-0 win versus Everton, the form seems to be there. Lisandro Martinez looking like he's coming back. You've got Garnacho, Højlund and Rashford in some form. Bruno Fernandes had some chance to have a bit of a break during the international break. You've got Casemiro back. Kobe Manu continues to be a ridiculous player. I think it's a chance here for Man United to flex their muscles a bit. Obviously, if you're Brentford, you've got to get at Man United. We've seen Bournemouth doing, Fulham do it at Old Trafford. We've seen teams like Tottenham take to Manchester United, but you've got to do it early in the game. If you're Brentford, try and emulate what happened last season in this fixture. Get at United early, press them hard at the pitch. Don't allow them time on the ball. Don't let them be comfortable on the ball and try and nick a goal early, because that's what you have to do if you're Brentford. Get a goal early and defend that lead. And for Man United, it's about how you're going to break this down, this Brentford side. They'll sit in, they'll be compact, they'll force you to beat them by being better than them. Are United up to the task after an international break to continue that good form going and break down another tough team to beat, especially away from home? I think it's going to be a tight, close game, but United's quality will get them over the line this one here. I'm feeling another late winner for Manchester United. I've got them winning this game 2-1 versus Brentford. Our penultimate game sees one of the title challenges, Liverpool hosting Brighton. Obviously, Liverpool coming off that disappointing 4-3 loss in the FA Cup to Manchester United, but last time at the Premier League, a very impressive 1-1 result versus Man City. And again, they could argue deserve to win with a few questionable decisions and probably the better of the chances. They come again, once again, at home, where they've been almost unbeatable this season. You've Got great, informed players. Nunes, he'll be available for this game here. You've got Mo Salah back. And that midfield, obviously, former Brighton player Alexis McAllister alongside Endo and Szoboszlai. And that back line with Joe Gomez in his form alongside Virgil van Dijk at the back. Just a very, very solid set side. Kanate and obviously Kelleher in goal. This group, it's not all the household names and the positions we're used to, but they're still performing at such a high level. And I think at home, they're just going to be too hard to beat. Obviously, Brighton last time out got a win, 1-0 versus Nottingham Forest, but it was far from their most convincing performances. And this season, they've been very underwhelming in terms of not being consistent enough, a lot of sideways possession, and not being very solid at the back. Lewis Dunk's been good at times, but too many mistakes in this back line and lack of real creativity in the final third means that they've been just underwhelming throughout the season. I think Liverpool, with their superstar talent, they're going for the title. They're in great form, their players. I think they'll take and rip Brighton apart in this game here. It's sad to say, I think it'll be quite an easy 3-0 win for Liverpool in this game here. Just think Brighton got the form, got the players, and Liverpool right now seem to be rolling. They're a machine. They're going for this Premier League title to send off Klopp in the right direction, and I think they'll get an easy result here, especially being at home. And that brings us to our final game of the weekend, the big one. Maybe another title decider here in many regards. Man City host Arsenal at the Etihad. Two teams in probably the best two forms in the Premier League. Two teams that are gunning for this title. Two teams that were in the title race again last season. It's Arteta, it's Pep. It's two sides that play so beautiful football. Who's going to come out on top? It's such an exciting game, and I can see this being a back and forth type affair. Man City are almost unbeatable at home, in great form, producing some really great football. Arsenal also probably the form side going around at the moment. A tough last time 2-1 win over Brentford in the late minutes with Havertz popping up. And I feel like because the midfields of both teams are so good, because the defenders are so good, this game will be won or lost in the wide areas. It's Saka, it's Foden, it's Doku and Martinelli. It's Kiwi or it's Ake. It's Kyle Walker, it's Ben White. Who out of these sort of wide players can win the game for you? Who makes the least mistakes? Who creates something out of nothing? Who has a special moment? That's I feel like this game will be won and lost because both teams are so level. And also another thing is the mental game. I think Man City, because they've been there and done it, because they're almost like the big brother to Arsenal, because Pep sort of got it over, Arteta still will be we all believe. They've got the big time players like De Bruyne, like Roger, like Haaland, who've been there and done it in these sort of situations at home as well. I just back them in this game here. Obviously, Arsenal have got great players in great form, and they also have big time performers like Odegaard, like Saka, like Rice in midfield, Kai Havertz. These guys are all big time players as well, but it doesn't have the same ring to it like the Man City players have as well. And obviously, we can't blame fitness because all these players have missed international break or rested themselves. We're going to see a high intensity affair, and it might be a factor of what team can absorb more pressure for longer periods. At times, Man City and Arsenal will be on the back foot, having to deal with the opposition team getting at them. Do you have the mentality, the identity to sit in, absorb some pressure, take the hit, and then give the hit yourself? That's where this game could be won or lost as well. But I especially want to target Saka or Foden. Can these guys individually, on their own, win their team the game? That's what's going to, I think, boil down to in the end of the day. Who has the better individual moments? Like we saw versus Liverpool and Man City. There's not much you can separate these teams, but individual moments, individual pieces of brilliance or mistakes will win or lose you this game here. I think City being at home, like I said, with the bigger name players and being in the situation more often than not, I've got them winning this game just. A very tight 2-1 win for me. Arsenal going to take it to City. They really want this title, but Man City have got the pedigree, they've got the players, and I think they'll get this one 2-1. And that being said, ladies and gents, that brings my Premier League predictions for Matchweek 30 to an end. Bit of a longer video, but so many games to talk about, and it's been a week away from the predictions, so I feel like I had to dive in depth all these teams. Let me know what you think about this video, and then my predictions in the comment section down below. Have I got the predictions right? What do you think? What's your biggest game of the weekend? How's your team going? And how do you see this running towards the end of the Premier League season? The battle for the top four, the battle for the title, the relegation scrap as well. So much to be excited about in the Premier League season. Probably the best we've had in the last 3 or 4 years, definitely. With that being said, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and press that post notification bell so you know when I upload. Obviously, heaps of videos coming up. 2 podcasts a week, obviously. We've got Premier League predictions, reaction videos on the weekend, some more statistic-based videos that will come in towards the end of the season, and then obviously Euros action, Copa America action as well, as we go into the summer as well. So there's not going to be a lack of content in this channel here. So much football to be played, so much excitement to happen, and I can't wait. I hope you guys can join me for the journey as well. With it all being said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend's football action, and I'll see you guys in another video very, very soon. Until then, guys, see you later.